Hey folks, welcome back to another Hellraiser review. And this one, of course, is Hellraiser 5 Inferno. Now, this was the first film to be put direct to DVD, because Hellraiser 4 did go to the theaters, but I don't think it was that successful of a film. So they went direct to DVD as they have been ever since. And I don't count one or two or three theaters by the piece of that new one, which I haven't seen yet, but I'm dreading the day I do. But Hellraiser 5 Inferno, like I say, Hellraiser 4, despite all my rambling review on that film, a few things I liked about it, but overall, not a good film. At least it did feel like a Hellraiser film. This film kind of starts the trend where they don't even seem like Hellraiser films anymore. Like this one, Part 6, Part 7, Part 8, again, they all went direct to DVD, and they feel like you took a script from another film and you just threw in Hellraiser because the title, people know it and it kind of sells. Now, the thing is, this film was directed by Scott Derrickson, who directed The Exorcism of Emily Rose and The Day the Earth Stood Still. So you got the director of that. Now, 6, 7, 8, you don't really see rant up above. Now, you're not going to see the word rant up above because while I'm not a fan of this film, after seeing it, it's hard to rant on it as well. Kind of like Hellraiser 4, I'm not a big fan of the movie, but I can't rant about it because I don't think it's a total piece of shit. Like 6, 7, 8, I pretty much do. I think I actually saw Hellraiser Hate Hell World, and I'm like, well, they're all bad, but I don't know which is better, 5 or 8. And to be honest, of all the direct-to-DVD films, this is the best one of the group, in my opinion, but it's still not saying much. Because the next one, Hellraiser 6 Hellseeker, pretty much stole this idea where... I don't want to spoil it, folks. See that movie? That's Hellraiser 5 and 6, this movie. And I love this movie to death. It did it perfectly, it did it right. And so when I see someone like, just doesn't add up, you know? Or Angel Heart. I told you spoilers, but the thing about this film, okay, you have a Craig Sheffer stars in this film. Now, I think this is the same guy. I want to make sure who was in Nightbreed. Was he the star of Nightbreed? Because I haven't seen that film in a long time. Uh, yep, he was. Yeah, he was a star of Nightbreed. Fire in the Sky. I remember that one. I liked Fire in the Sky. Turbulence 2. Forgot them. And 3. Wow, they made Turbulence 2 and 3. Wow. I guess he played two different characters in Turbulence 2 and Turbulence 3. He was in them and they played, I guess, different people. Okay. Um, Some Kind of Wonderful he was in. Um, movie called The Program. He was in that movie. Some TV shows. Basically, he's this cop, and he's a cop, but he's pretty not really a good guy, meaning that he uses drugs. He wants to get what he wants. He'll cheat on his wife with a hooker, so he's not really a great guy. Sees this ritual murder scene of a guy he used to know in school, and he finds the box there. So he goes home, and then his wife cheats on his wife with a hooker, and he goes, after he does the deed, he goes to the bathroom, looks at the box, and then like the lights go off, and I'm gonna spoil it right here. From that scene on, we're not supposed to know it till the end, but that scene on, he's basically in hell, in his own hell. Because after that, he keeps seeing weird things. Like he walks out and he's in a kid's bedroom, which you found was probably his bedroom when he was a kid. He like sees these weird female Cenobites that caress him and actually go into his chest and caress inside his chest. And that's the thing with this film. Sometimes the film itself has a lot of good direction. Craig Sheffer, even though he's a character I'm not really a fan of, but Craig Sheffer I thought played him well, so you kind of felt sorry for him. With I thought Craig Sheffer, I'd give him a thumbs up on that. I thought he really pulled it off. I didn't really like this guy at first at all, and you really felt sorry for him as it goes on. But not nearly to the effect of fucking Jacob Singer. That's the problem. I just, I kept watching this film. I just kept thinking of this film. I'm like, I'd rather watch that film. But I will say this is better than Part 6, Hellseeker, which is, I'd get to. That deserves a rant. But here, he's in the investigation, and like he has these weird Cenobites, and he escapes, and there's this like weird one down the stairs, and then he opens the door and he sees Pinhead for a second, and he supposedly gets killed, but he wakes up next to the box. And then basically he gets a phone call, and it's the same hooker, and he like listens, and you like hear her screaming, then seemingly like she died. Goes to the hotel and finds her dead. Now each one of these crime scenes he finds a child's finger, and his whole goal is he wants to find that kid. He wants to find that kid alive. And so his partner is actually, I want to get the guy's name right. He did a good job too, his partner. Nicholas Turturro. Nick Turturro was his partner. Was he on NYPD Blue? Yeah, NYPD Blue. And he did good. He did a really good job with that. Just looking at, he's been on TV shows. A lot of TV shows. Malcolm X, as Jungle Fever, Mo Better Blues. So I guess he's worked with Spike Lee a few times. But he really did a good job as the partner. A good guy. It basically follows Craig Sheffer's investigation, investigating this body piercing place, and basically finds out this figure called the Engineer. He even gets a videotape where this guy, he was talking to his informants, getting whipped by chains to the back and killed. And he sees the Engineer, and it's like a Cenobite. He has no eyes, but kind of like a version of Chatterer, from the previous Hellraiser film. Kind of a kind of version of that. Tries to show it to superiors, but the tape doesn't work. At times he goes to the psychiatrist, played by James Remar, and James Remar was really good in it too. I mean, the problem is not the acting, because all the actors did their jobs well, and you did get some stupid scenes. Like there's a scene where he wants to get information, and he goes to like a bar or whatever, and there's all these cowboys in it, and at least to a point he chases someone, and he gets beat up by like these cowboys. I'm like, that's fucking stupid. Like, I know, like, what the fuck? The scene that wasn't even needed. So that was a stupid scene. But then he talks to the James Remar again. James Remar tells him about the Engineer, what the deal is that sort of this figure that seems to know everybody in the precinct. Tells him about the bots and Cenobites and stuff like that. But again, this film has some capable direction. I mean, the guy wanted to do The Exorcism, Emily Rose, and that's not a bad film, Exorcism, Emily Rose, I must admit. I'm not a big fan of Exorcism movies. I love Exorcist 3, but I'm not the biggest fan, but I will say Emily Rose was well done, I thought. But you have some capable direction. Like, you get some creepy scenes, like a scene where he visits his mom and dad at the hospital. Then he goes into a room, it locks behind him. He turns around, tries to open, and all you hear is seemingly his mom and dad in the other room. Because his dad's like on the hospital bed, can't move, and his mom was sitting next to the hospital bed. He just hears like screaming and death, and and cuts and like blood seeping through the door. I thought it was really well effective. Like, you didn't have to see that, but hearing it was creepy enough. And Craig Sheffer sold it with his performance. And that's what I mean. Like, I can't rant on the film and the fact that there are some good things to this film. It's just putting Hellraiser in there really hurt it. Now, some people say, well, what about, say, Friday the 13th Part 5? Well, Friday the 13th Part 5, Jason's in it in a way in the beginning, but that felt more like a Friday the 13th film. It was entertaining. It was fun. It's a fun slasher. It was entertaining. Um, and it's pretty much like a Friday the 13th. A guy in a hockey mask killing people one by one. You know? So I still think it kind of felt like a Friday the 13th film. Especially after they sort of, got back on board. Halloween 3, other than the title, to me, that wasn't a film that tried to have his cake and eat it too. Just the only time you see Michael Myers in Halloween 3 is a movie, Halloween, being played on TV. Like, it really 100% tried to be its own film from beginning to end. Just the title fucked it up. But I still like that film. This one, though, I don't know, when I talk about part 6, 7, and 8, I'm going to use this phrase a lot. It tried to have its cake and eat it too. And I'm going to repeat this also. These films, the problem with them is that, well, I'm going to say it one last time. It tried to have its cake and eat it too. It said, we're a Hellraiser film. Here's Pinhead. And Pinhead, really, this is probably the least amount of screen time he has in a Hellraiser film is in this movie. It's probably not even 5 minutes. Probably not even 5 minutes that he's in this film. 5 minutes is stretching it. Like, it's very, very, very brief. But you do get some good-looking sequences when you do see like the creatures. I guess the Cenobites, they look very well done. The acting is Craig Sheffer. Again, it's a character you don't really like at first, but he's not really a good guy. But at the same time, you do kind of feel sorry for him. I think Craig Sheffer pulled it off well. Nick Turturro as his partner was good. James Remar for a little bit of Yaz was good. But you have like really creepy scenes, like the scene where he hears his mom and dad getting killed, but he doesn't see it. But then he wakes up like it was a dream. Then he goes to the hospital, and then the nurse says, "Well, your mom and dad have disappeared, which is weird because your dad can't move." And he's trying to look for him, and then looks at the bed, the empty bed, and lifts the covers, and there's just a big old rush of blood on the bed. And he doesn't know what to do. And like the idea that he keeps finding a child's finger at each one of these scenes of the crime. And he finds something that leads to an address. He has a little bit of fight with his partner. But when he gets to the address, he finds a telescope. Like, what the fuck's that? He looks in the telescope, and it's his partner, Nick Turturro, across the street, tied up and killed by the, quote, engineer. And then he goes home and finds his wife and daughter on this pillar. They're like kind of frozen. And he tries to get to his daughter, but the arm is pulled off. And they crack up, but then, when they tumble, it's a little CGI. It's like, eh. And then James Remar is there, the psychiatrist, and he like turns into Pinhead. And basically says a few things and says, go home. And Craig Sheffer doesn't know what's going on, and he takes a shotgun. And basically the theme is, by the end of it, again, like I said, it's like Jacob's Ladder. You find out that, it's not all it seems to be. It's basically this guy, when he opened that box in the beginning, he went into his own hell. And about all the people he's hurt through one way or another. Because you can really tell, knowing that, watching this scene where he goes in, like, these his family members, in one way or another, except his wife and kid, but the others are like his partner, Nick Turturro, and his mom and dad. They're all fucked up and trying to attack him, and he has to shoot him with a shotgun. I like the scene where he opens a door, and it's like silhouetted at the door, and then the way it fades, and then all of a sudden he's in a completely dark room. And then like there's the little boy sitting in there, and he has most of his fingers cut off. That was in each scene, and he realizes that little boy was him when he was a kid. And it's supposed to represent like his spirit, I guess. And the engineer, the one who's been killing all his loved ones, that looks has no eyes and kind of looks like Chatter, takes it off, and it's really Craig Sheffer, as in his flesh. So it's kind of like been him killing off his spirit and his basically. I want to find that quote from Jacob's Ladder. I can't help it. The thing is, though, that's the thing. I just Angel Heart and Jacob's Ladder just kept peeking into my brain while watching this film. I think that's also the problem with this, because it's a depressing film too. It's depressing. Like Jacob's Ladder, like Angel Heart is very depressing as well. That's why Jacob's Ladder is my favorite, because it does have a little bit of hope at the end. It's not depressing ending, to be honest. It's the way they handle it. I thought was very well done. Where it's sad, but here's the quote: "The only thing that burns in hell is the part of you that won't let go of life. Your memories, your attachments. They burn them all away." Um, the rest of it doesn't apply to this film. It applies to that much better film. But that's how I saw it as, like, sort of tearing your life away. That's kind of what it is. It's like himself tearing his own life away because of all the shit, all the bad shit he did when he was alive. Being using drugs and cheating on his wife and stuff like that. And then the kicker, the how you find out, I thought was well done, and the fact that for people who've seen these kind of films, you probably figure out pretty early on, but he seems to be killed because he gets chained up and killed, but then he wakes up and he thinks everything's okay, but then he gets that same phone call from that hooker in the beginning, and he knows it's going to happen all over again, so he shoots himself and he wakes up, and he realizes that forever he's going to have to relive this whole experience over and over and over again. So he goes into, I guess, his room when he was a kid and sits down and screams, and then the movie ends. I mean, it's a the, I'm not a fan of this film, and the fact that would I buy the film? No. Would I ever see the film again? No. Because it's not really a Hellraiser movie in a way. It it's trying to do both things. It's trying to be, quote, a Hellraiser movie and this story that really it really feels like you just took a script that someone saw Jacob's Ladder and Angel Heart too many. That's what it is though. It's Jacob's Ladder and Angel Heart, but you just threw in like inklings of Hellraiser in it, and it really just doesn't doesn't work in my opinion. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of mindfuck movies. There's only a few I think that do it well. Because a lot of times those mindfuck movies, they're depressing. And I don't, a lot of times I don't want to be depressed watching a movie, even a horror movie. That may sound stupid. There are those few that will do it right. But the others are, okay, it's not really a film you rewatch. And I think that's the problem here. I mean, the film itself, I mean, that's why I can't rant on it, because I think it's actually pretty well done, acting wise. Um, the makeup, you don't see a lot of gore, but it made way for some effective scenes that kind of creep you out, like him trying to get into the room and just hearing his mom and his dad in the hospital screaming, and like that was effective in a creepy way. Looking in the telescope and seeing his friend get killed, that was kind of creepy in an effective way. Um, it seemed like just a decently directed flick, an acted flick. The only problem for me is the mindfuck movies. It's not really a genre I'm the biggest fan of, unless I saw that film when I was a kid, and I thought that film did it perfectly and right. And now when I see a film try to be like that, I can't help it. It's my own personal thing. I got to compare to that, and it just doesn't compare. You know. Plus, this one's depressing, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to see it again. But I didn't see that. And it should not have been called Hellraiser. That was my problem with Halloween 3. It should not be called Halloween 3. There's a problem with this. It should not be called Hellraiser. It should have just, could have easily just taken it out and just call it Inferno or call it something. Um, I think that's a problem. But other than that, it's just one of those films that you watch, okay, it's not really a Hellraiser movie in a way. It's, again, I'm going to keep repeating this, but it really does feel like you took a script and just, we can't sell it. It's kind of a rip off of Angel Heart and Jacob's Ladder, so oh shit, let's just put Hellraiser in it. Um, I know a lot of people like it because it's not just physical pain; it's more like psychological pain of doing to someone. But it's like it's not really entertaining. It's not meant to be. But it's just not a film I would rewatch over and over again. So again, I'm not a fan of the film just for the it's Jacob's Ladder and Angel Heart, but not done as well, especially with the inclusion of the Hellraiser's elements. I think the inclusion of the Hellraiser elements didn't really work, in my opinion. It kind of just felt in the way, like Pinhead kind of felt in the way in this film. Kind of felt like, okay, he's in there because it's Hellraiser. You know, I know this is kind of a confusing review, but I'm just not a fan of it. It's better than I think the other ones. 6, 7, 8, and 9. It's going to be better than those. But to me, the only Hellraiser films I like are the first 3 films. I love the first 2. This one, Hellraiser 4, has a lot of problems. At least it seemed like it was a Hellraiser film. But this one, it just. I appreciate what it was trying to do, but, a depressing ending. That's what it's meant to be. I guess you can't really change the ending. But the whole mindfuck thing that, I saw coming, I already knew the ending before I went into it, so maybe that's my fault. It just, I just keep looking at that. Even as I'm doing this, I just keep looking right there. I'm like, you know what, I'd just rather watch that again. Jacob Senior and that film, just everything about that film, it just does much better than this film. Score wise, it wasn't that good. Hellraiser 5, and for the character that Craig Sheffer plays, he did a very capable job, but you know, nowhere near like Jacob Sainer and Tim Robbins. Just the inclusion of Pinhead seemed to get in the way of the story, and overall, not a fan of this movie. But at the same time, I can't really rant on it. Maybe it's just not my kind of movie. The mindfuck movies are not really my kind of movie. Like, I'm not a fan of Identity because I saw the ending coming when I saw the trailer. I'm like, don't let it end. Like, oh fuck, I think it's very hard to pull a mindfuck movie off. And when I mean a mindfuck, I mean like the twist ending and oh, it was all a dream, and it's very hard to pull that off. I'm not saying I hate every single one of those, but it's very hard to pull off without you being either depressed. And when I'm depressed from a movie, 8 times out of 10, I'm like, fuck it, It's just how I am, just how my movie going experience is. But either way, I know it's a long ass review, but it's Hellraiser 5 Inferno. I know I gave it away, but if it sounds like it's not horrible, it's very capable. You have some really creepy scenes, and if you're a fan of mindfuck movies, or if you like that kind of stuff, where someone Jacob's Ladder, Angel Heart, and you don't mind the comparisons. Like, it bugged me because I'm like, oh, I'd rather just go see Jacob's Ladder again. If that doesn't bother you and you're a fan of that genre, this would be worth your time. If you're going in to see a Hellraiser movie, you're going to be kind of pissed. Because again, Pinhead's in it. I said 5 minutes, but I'm gonna take that back. Probably 3 minutes at most, and you know, yeah, at least that's my opinion on it. So, not terrible, but I can't say I like it either. Um, I can definitely say Hellraiser 6, 7, 8 I don't like, and you'll find out about that next time. So, thanks for watching, and take care. Later.